Hi there, and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 2 to 4 player game, Minecraft Builders and Biomes, designed by Ulrich Blum and published by Ravensburger, who helped sponsor this video. If you're familiar with the Minecraft video game, then you know it allows you to build worlds limited only by your imagination. But it can also be a dangerous place, full of zombies, skeletons, and exploding creepers. Here, you'll play out your own adventures, but in board game form. So join me at the table, and let's learn how to play. To set up, shuffle all the tiles with this back and divide them into 16 face-down stacks made up of 4 tiles each, leaving a bit of space between each stack, like I've done here. The tokens with this back, you'll now shuffle and then place face down at the end of each row, so it looks like this when you're done. Nearby, set this block base along with the support structure, and then fill it with the included blocks. When you're done, remove the support, leaving a random but nicely organized stack in its place. Each person now picks one of the player boards randomly and chooses a color, collecting the related experience point counter, which they'll put on the 0 space of this experience point track that runs around the outside edge. Everyone also takes the 5 weapon tokens in their color, shuffles them, and places them into a pile near their board. Now choose one of these player skins for your character, which you'll put into a base matching your color. You'll then place it into the central crossing point of the grid. And in this video, we'll pretend we have 2 players. Finally, arrange the overview cards so everyone can easily see them. And this will include a reminder of the turn actions and the 3 different scoring phases of the game. And that's the setup. In Minecraft Builders and Biomes, each player will be gathering resources to create structures of their own in several of the Minecraft environments. And if you're looking for some adventure along with your architecture, there'll be monsters you can fight as well. Your completed buildings and the monsters you defeat will gain you experience points. And the player with the most by the end of the game wins. The game is played over a series of turns, starting with the player who most recently found a diamond while playing the video game version of Minecraft. Or if you'd prefer, you can just let the youngest player go first, or just pick randomly. After that, turns are taken in order, going clockwise around and around the table. And on your turn, you'll take exactly 2 actions. There are 5 different actions to choose from, and you must pick 2 different ones to perform on your turn. So let's go back to the table and learn what they are. One option is to collect blocks, and you do this by taking exactly 2 of them from the cube here. But you can only take blocks that are free on their top and on at least 2 other sides. So we couldn't take this one, for example, because although it's free on top, it only has 1 open side. This means at the start of the game, the first cube I take will have to come from a corner. Now, with this one gone, for my second cube, I could pick a different corner, or either of these, or even the one down here. And if you want, you can always rotate the base to make it easier to see around the cube while playing. The cube is made up of 5 types of blocks: 16 wood, 14 sand, 12 stone, 10 obsidian, and 12 emerald. And we'll see how these are used a little bit later. Another action you can instead take is to move your character from 0 to 2 spaces. In this game, the spaces are the points where paths cross in the grid of tile stacks and weapon tokens. For example, this is a space and this is a space. So if I was moving 2 spaces, I could go here. Or perhaps I might go straight ahead like this. Over the course of the game, a single space can have any number of players in it. No matter where you travel though, once you're done, you reveal the weapon tokens or top tiles of the stacks on the 4 corners of your final position. Now, some of these may already have been turned over from a previous turn, and if so, then you just leave them as is. As we'll see shortly, tiles and tokens can be removed from the grid, and if entire stacks are ever gone, you still count the crossing points that were originally between them as spaces when you're moving. Okay, time to discuss a new action called building. To do this, you must have your character next to the corner of a tile showing the structure that you want to build, and you must already have the block showing in its bottom right corner in your personal supply. You then spend them by returning them to the game box. Now you'll notice here, this requires wood and sand. I actually don't have sand, but green emerald blocks are special because they can be used as any other kind of block. So to build this structure, I could spend these 2 blocks treating the emerald as sand. After paying the cost, move the building to any spot on your board, which, as you can see, is divided into 9 spaces, each with its own biome, which is a type of environment that you'll see pictured there. There are 4 possible types: mountains, snowy tundra, desert, and forest. And you can place your tile on any one of the spaces. The biome types do not have to match. And as you gain new ones later, you can even build on top of other buildings that you might have added previously to your board. Some structures you build will show this experience point symbol, and if so, as soon as you add them to your board, you gain that much experience. And anytime you gain experience during the game, you move your marker the appropriate number of spaces along the track here. Among the face-up tiles, in addition to buildings, you may also find monsters, known in the game as mobs. And if you're in a space next to one, you can use an action to fight them. To do this, gather up your stack of weapon tokens and shuffle them into a face-down pile, revealing 3. These will either show weapons or poisoned potatoes. The potatoes do nothing, but for each weapon, add together the hearts showing on them. If the total number of hearts is less than the number of hearts showing on the mob you are attacking, then the attack has failed and the mob just stays where it is. However, if the total number of hearts you revealed is equal to or higher than the mob's, you defeated it. You'll take it from its stack and then put it next to your board. You then gain the experience points showing here by its experience point symbol, so in this case, 3. Any weapons you revealed are then put back into your weapon pile to be shuffled and used during your next attack action. There are several types of mobs you'll encounter, but each fit into 2 main categories. Any showing this symbol can be discarded after you perform your 2 actions during a turn to gain an additional action. And you can even trade in more than one to gain several bonus actions. And these bonus actions can be ones that you already performed this turn. So for example, I could collect blocks and then build and then trade in this monster to build again. And each mob used for this bonus is then returned to the box. Now, if a monster doesn't show this symbol, but has a variety of other symbols here instead, it cannot be traded in for bonus actions, but it can score you bonus points at the end of the game, as we'll see later. This brings us to the final action we need to go over, collecting weapons, which you can do if you're in a space by a weapon token. Simply pick one of them up and add it to your pile. The more weapons you have, the better chance you'll draw something good during a fight, and the less likely you'll draw a useless, poisoned potato. In fact, without extra weapons in your pile, it will be impossible to fight some of the bigger mobs. And many of the weapon tokens you pick up will provide you with additional abilities during a fight. So let's take a look at how those work. Every time you draw a bow during a fight, the symbol here means you draw an extra token beyond the 3 that you would normally reveal. If you flip the golden hoe, then you immediately gain 2 experience points. The stone pickaxe does 2 damage, and then you gain a block from the cube following the normal rules for collecting them. Finally, if you flip over TNT during a fight, you can choose to detonate it or ignore it. If you ignore it, it will do no damage and go back into your pile after the attack. But if you choose to use it, it causes a whopping 5 hearts of damage as shown here, and then it is returned to the box. And with that, you now know all the actions and the various ways to gain building tiles and weapon tokens. And during the game, there will be 3 scoring rounds where you'll gain experience based on the way you've added buildings to your board. The first round of scoring happens when the final block has been collected from the top layer of the cube. And it is possible that some cubes from the lower levels will have already been taken. But the first round of scoring only happens once the entire top layer is gone. The second round of scoring will happen once the second layer is gone. And the third round of scoring will happen once the last block from the third layer has been taken. After the third round of scoring, the game ends. But the important thing to understand is that the player who removes a block causing a scoring round to happen first completely finishes their turn before any scoring is done. It's even possible that a player, through collecting blocks, will take the last ones from more than one layer at a time during their turn. And if that happens, once their turn is finished, you'll score all of the related layers, one after the other, in their usual order. Now, each scoring round is begun by the player who just finished their turn. So let's go back to the table and I'll show you how this works. First, the player will pick any one biome and then identify the largest group of connected spaces from it on their board. Each type of biome can be identified by the picture on it, but also by the icon in its top left-hand corner. As we saw earlier, this is a forest. Now, to be connected, the spaces must share at least one full side. You do not count spaces touching only on a corner. Now, as you can see, your board comes pre-printed with biomes already, and those can be counted in your groups as well. For example, if I chose forest, my largest group would be made up of these 4 connected squares. Also, if you like, the biome type you choose can be one that has only a single square. In this case, though, it makes sense for us to pick forest. After identifying the largest group of the biome type you chose, you'll use the scoring card labeled A and then gain a number of points, as shown, for each space in your connected group from the related biome. Now, we chose forests and we had a group of 4 of them. That will gain us 3 points for each, for a total of 12 points. And as you can see, some biomes are more rare and therefore are worth more points. After a player has scored their biome, the next player in clockwise order picks a biome they wish to score and gains points for its largest group. And you'll continue like this once around the table. And then you return the scoring card labeled A to the box. And the game will continue as usual, starting with the player who is supposed to take their turn next before the scoring round began. When the second round of scoring is being resolved, you'll use tile B and ignore the biomes and instead pick a type of material, either wood, sand, stone, or obsidian, which are represented by these symbols. You then look for the largest group of connected squares on your board with buildings made from your chosen resource. This will be indicated by the middle icon on the tiles. And you'll notice that the spaces pre-printed on your board do not have these symbols, so they will never contribute to your score during this round. In this case, my largest group of connected buildings that share the same resource are stone, which is a total of 2 tiles, and these score 5 each, for a total of 10 points. Once the second round of scoring is done, as before, you remove the related tile labeled B from the table. When it's time for the third scoring round, it follows the same rules as the other rounds, but now you'll use scoring tile C, and each player picks a type of dwelling, which is represented by the final symbol on building tiles, either decorations, dwellings, animal houses, or bridges. Once the third scoring round has been completed, the game ends, and it's time for every player to gain any experience points they are owed from defeated mobs that they collected. Ones with this symbol in the top left-hand corner are worth no points at the end of the game, but any that show a symbol paired with experience points give you the points shown for each of that symbol found anywhere on your board. Those spaces do not have to be connected. For example, this mob gives me 2 points for every forest biome I have. And I have 3 of them for a total of 6 points. The mob here gives me 2 experience for every desert biome I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them for another 8 experience. Once everyone has collected any points they were owed from mobs, the player with the most experience wins. Now, if there's a tie, the tied player with the most blocks remaining in their supply wins. And if there's still a tie, the tied players share the victory. The game also offers this variant for beginners or young children to help simplify scoring rounds. After picking what will score on your board, rather than finding the largest connected group, you can just count all spaces that match, no matter where they are. Otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play Minecraft, Builders, and Biomes. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get notification anytime we post a new video. But until next time, thanks for watching.